Hello, my name is Jacob Thomas, and I'm in Mr. Townsend's Communication 2025, Section 925, Fundamentals of Communication class. Today I'm giving a presentation on why I believe a $15 minimum wage would be detrimental to the economy. It's unlikely to raise wages for lower paid workers, eliminates entry-level jobs, and raises prices for those who can afford it the least. This kills competition and hurts the economy. I believe a $15 minimum wage would kill off many of the entry-level jobs which allow young adults to get their first sense of duty and experience inside the workplace and develop the necessary skills to transition into higher-paying jobs. I received my start working an 80-hour work week as a shift supervisor at Taco Bell in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, as a senior in high school. The job was strenuous and took a lot of energy out of me. However, it instilled discipline, and I assumed responsibility from an early age, refining me for my future leadership positions. I worked for minimum wage, which is $10.10 in Hawaii, and was paid $15.15 for overtime. I received almost $2,000 in paychecks, being well compensated for my work. My tax returns were pretty nice too. A $15 minimum wage nationwide would not be effective because it would eliminate the availability of jobs like mine, meaning fewer people, fewer college or high school age kids would get the opportunity to develop important skills and use entry-level positions as a stepping stone to a better job, to a better position. They won't have the experience. This hurts those in need of new employment opportunities, which are low-skilled individuals and low-income households. How will they succeed? How will they access? How will they climb the ladder? A $15 minimum wage would also cause many small businesses to lose customers, causing them to lose income and lay off workers as a result of raising prices to compensate for a raise in minimum wage. A raise in minimum wage would only incentivize larger corporations who could afford to buy out competition and automate a variety of jobs. In a Forbes article written July 10th, 2019 by senior contributor Jack Kelly, titled The Unintended Consequences of Raising the Minimum Wage to $15, it is discussed by Kelly in the fourth paragraph that employers, especially small family and mid-sized businesses, will be disproportionately hurt by the extra costs incurred. The local neighborhood stores and businesses with razor-thin profits will then be forced to raise prices up to make up for the additional labor costs. With the increased prices, customers may elect to take their businesses elsewhere, which that means we're now losing income, and that could result in businesses having to lay off workers. We're not protecting the lower income families or unskilled workers by incentivizing automation and ruthless business practice to sustain companies. What happens to your cousin who's figuring himself out and down on his luck? What happens to your peers who can barely find work as it is and is struggling to support themselves due to competition? How's raising the minimum wage effectively addressing those issues? It is further supported by Michael R. Strain, Director of Economic Policy Studies, and Arthur F. Burns, Scholar in Political Economy at AEI, when he posits that a $15 mandatory minimum wage would wreck economic recovery because it would limit employment opportunity for the least limited, least skilled, and least income workers and families. In the Bloomberg opinion article, a $15 minimum wage would wreck U.S. economic recovery, written by Strain on October 23, 2020. Strain makes reference to a team of economists, including the University of Washington's Jacob Vigdor, who's been studying the employment effects of Seattle's move to increase its minimum wage to $15. In 2016, Seattle, a high-wage city, had hit a $13 minimum on its way to $15. The economists found that a 9% reduction in low-wage jobs and this pay increase, if generated, didn't make up for the reduction in employment, and earnings fell for lower-wage workers overall. This theory has been implemented all across the country and in a high-income city with negative consequences. What happens when this cookie-cutter legislation is introduced to other areas that need more nuance? So, in conclusion, raising the minimum wage to a $15 minimum would hurt the very people the legislation is attempting to help. It is very unlikely to raise wages for lower-paid workers, eliminates entry-level jobs, and raises prices for those who can afford it the least, hurting both businesses and employees. It's very likely that if this legislation, which lacked nuance, passed, our economy would be off-kilter and citizens would be faced with a plethora of unhealthy competition for employment. So, in addition to the persuasive segment of my assignment, I was asked which persuasive strategy I tend to find most persuasive when listening to a speech and presentation and why. I tend to find pathos, which is appealing to emotion, kind of most persuasive because it allows me to kind of look for a connection with the speaker and empathize with them. And that makes me remember what they said and makes their impact much more meaningful to me. Thank you.